All right, let's get serious, okay? It's time to discuss historical geopolitics, the psychological maps that are out there, maybe even Gilbert and Sullivan, one of our favorites here, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for the great Dave Malinsky, everybody. We're so glad Dave Malinsky.
Thank you, Matt, for that lovely introduction. We're doing something a little different this time. No GNS, unfortunately. I'm going to show you all some books. I'm doing a prop show and books of the props. So, I want to start with our first book here. Because I know, we deal with poetry in this land. Poetry is made of words, books are made of words. And this book is a really interesting one. Have you ever heard the term ego stroking?
Yes.
Have you ever heard the term inner child?
Yes.
This is where it comes from. This is Games People Play by Eric Berne. It was released in the late 60s. And Berne had this concept of psychology called transactional analysis. And those ego strokes were what was being transacted. According to Berne, humans interact to exchange ego values with each other. And they, in his words, play games to try to get a stroke from someone else. But, if anyone here is dealing with family stuff, I think Berne's most relevant idea is where it's not just the inner child that Berne talks about. He talks about two other elements. The inner parent and the inner adult. That is, he separates them. There is, the adult who is rational. Let's look at things how they normally are. And then there's the parent who made the child. So they can't look at that child rationally. It's like, hold on, you're a part of me. You gotta do things right. So when I talk about the theory I've made up called Ludism, Ludism, about the relationship between protection and play. Play is kind of what Berne describes, that exploratory spirit. And protection is, don't you dare do that, you'll kill us all. And it makes sense if you're sticking a fork in a socket. You're saying, oh, this new toy is Satan? That's probably not very sensible protection. So definitely look up Games People Play by Eric Berne. It's very 60s, but I think it still has things to teach us. Let's move on a decade. To the late 70s, Benedict Anderson imagined communities, reflections on the origins and spread of nationalism. Now you're thinking, wait a minute, Dave, why are you jumping from developmental psychology to the origins of nationalism? Here's my answer. What do you think we're all doing here? We're arcing as a verb. To what end? You're trying to find love, you're trying to deal with loss, you're trying to deal with family, all the life events. But have you ever wondered, what's this for, beyond obviously my own enjoyment? Is there a meaning beyond all the cool people I meet? Anderson says, absolutely. Because what makes nationalism? As crazy as it sounds, it's not just the guns, it's not just the explosions, it's not just the shouting people, it's the art. It's printing, it's speaking, it's music. Because that is how you get people in, say, Mexico City and Cabo or New York and Charleston to think, wait a minute, we're kind of the same, aren't we? Because we speak the same language, we tell the same stories, we look at the same maps. So if you're ever wondering, does my art matter? We are in the world that the 19th century nationalist poets made. So if you're going up here, think about, I can make my own New York. And we just saw it just before this, haven't we? Now the third one. This might be the most controversial. Who here's heard the term the end of history? This is where it comes from. Francis Fukuyama is the end of history and the last man. Now, if you do know about this, you probably think, oh, this is just the neocon Bible, right? This is like, we won the Cold War and the world is ours. It's not that. And if anyone says that, they have not read this book. This was written in the early 90s. Fukuyama said, okay, we won the Cold War. Now what? It wasn't a gloat of victory, but a warning. With democracy winning, what problems will democracies face? And he actually got it right. He was working from those 19th century thinkers, and he was saying, okay, democracy was able to win because it recognized human desires and struggles. And the biggest, most universal struggle is the struggle for recognition. That's what we're all doing here now. We want to be recognized. You know, Fukuyama and Hegel, they said the people who want recognition the most are the warriors. You know, I killed a bunch of people, worship me. Of course, we know there are other better ways of doing things. But Fukuyama said that it's going to split into a bunch of different ways, and we saw that play out over the previous decade. In one direction, you want more recognition for smaller groups, which to us feels fantastic. Yes! More recognition for everybody, that's great. But then there's the other side of it. Those who believe in struggling for recognition for the sake of struggling. You know, let's fight everyone because then it will be cool. Because what else is there to live for? Poetry? Music? Benedict Anderson was wrong. That doesn't make nations. But of course it does. So it's from these thinkers, as well as spending way too much time online observing all these different little communities based on interests, who seek recognition like we're doing through our art, but instead of finding, say, religion or nationalism as their imagined communities, they do it based on what they're interested in. Whether it's poetry, music, theater, song, anime, gaming, those are the imagined communities, and therefore the ideologies of the 21st century. Thank you. If you want to hear more, I'm BMN33 on YouTube and TikTok, and you can find out more of the outside information. Thank you.
Well said. Give it up for Dave Malinsky, everybody. I love it. We are living in the country of poetry. You're absolutely right. Give it up for Dave Malinsky, defending his dissertation, and I think he gets the PhD. I think he passed. That was amazing. I mean, I love it. It's feeding and it's intellectual. We're intellectuals here, I think. I could feel the brains just crackling with new information. Fantastic. Give it up one more time for Dave Malinsky, everybody. Check out his TikTok and YouTube. All right, we've got